All right, hello everybody. Thanks for joining me for another update on race day scoring. This is for the month of February. Got a bit to go through today. I'm gonna just hold off for another minute or two, see if some more people will come into the webinar. So we'll just start in about a minute. All right, it's 2 p.m., so we're gonna get started here. Again, thanks everybody for coming to the monthly update for race day scoring. What we do here is we'll go through any recent updates and changes we've made to the software in the past month. So February, we've been pretty busy, and let's get started. All this information can be found on our blog, racedayScoring.blog. If you go to About and Release Notes, you'll find all the release notes from previous versions as well. So we're going to walk through the ones we've done in February. First one here, February 6th. Not too much change, but go through it. So we added a quick button in the change all read dates to setting to set up to the day of the race. So if you're not familiar with what that is, if you create a stream to get times into your race, there's an option at the very bottom to adjust stream read dates and times, to change all read dates to some date. So this is useful if you're rescoring an old race or you're using times from another day and you need to just change them to the day of the race. We just added a shortcut. Now you can just click set to race date and it sets it to the date that this actual race is on. Just a little bit of a shortcut if you do need to adjust read dates for whatever reason. All right. We changed the default sort order of stream types to be alphabetical. Pretty straightforward, but someone was asking that these the stream titles here were just sorted by alphabetical order instead of seemingly random order. We updated a bunch of our Windows print code, so we kind of did a full overhaul of how we send our reports to the printer. We had some people experiencing crashes after they would click print, but before the print dialog would come up from Windows. So we completely, renovated that code, and it should be much more stable now. So if you're still experiencing any issues with that, feel free to let us know, and we can try and dig into it. But I think it's gonna be much better. We fixed an issue causing a white screen when opening up a local kiosk window. So we now support in race day scoring this button here to open up a local kiosk. This lets you just create a separate window on this computer to view a kiosk on. It could be handy for like an announcer window you want to display or something like that. So you do have to start the RaceDay Hub up, and then you can come in here and do a results window. And this is just another little window of RaceDay scoring that pops up. I may have not set my IP address right. 192.168.151. Wait till that times out. .51. So now I can have this second, window here. If I wanted to run a kiosk, I'd be able to on the same computer. All right, so moving on. Fix an issue causing inaccurate stream indicator statuses. So in RaceDay scoring, when you have your connector running, you'll notice you have these disconnected, connected messages. And we noticed that in some instances, it would just make all of them go green or all of them go red, but wouldn't show that one or the other, depending on the system type, would drop. So we've now fixed that, and it should show you that like this specific device has lost connection from the middleware, and it is kind of system dependent. I fixed an issue causing a failure to import race exports. There's a few things going on with that one, but we fixed one error with you're importing race files and you get an error saying things like, scored event ID doesn't exist. We fixed a few of those. Fixed an issue causing race exports to fail when autosaves have been running. It was related to the last issue. If you had autosaves running on a report, it was causing this failure to import race exports. So those have been all fixed. And then we fixed an issue causing ticket submission to fail. So if you were in RaceDay scoring and trying to get help, and if you lost connection after you clicked send, it would just crash the software, or if it just timed out, it would crash the software sometimes. So we made this more robust. It will let you know if you don't have internet connection, and or if you haven't logged in to RunSignup, you have to log in, and it'll tell you that. So we just made that a lot more foolproof. You shouldn't run into any more crashes on this ticket submission page. All right, moving on. February 20th, so it was a couple of weeks until we did this update. We had a bunch of things that we changed, and we wanted to make sure we had it nice and stable before we put it out into the public's hands. So we updated how we handle chip assignment syncing. So we no longer use updates made to individual chip assignments, and instead always rely on the chip assignments loaded into RaceDay scoring. So this means that we kind of replicated the way that the race director works, in that if you have a chip assignment policy in RaceDay scoring here, so under the participants tab, under actions, set up chip auto assignment policy, this will always be king. And if I went to RunSignup and changed bib343's chip, this will ignore it. It will always override it with this chip now. In the past, if you changed it on RunSignup, it would actually adjust it in here, and it caused some issues. So we decided to change the way we handled it and said that, if you're loading a chip assignment file into RaceDay scoring, this should be the one that takes precedence and not coming down from the sink. We did add the ability to export an entire database from one computer and import it into another. Most people would never really use this, but it's useful for us if we need to get a full database export from one computer to see exactly what's going on. You could potentially use this if you wanted to have a starting point for computers that you are setting up. If you wanted to have, say, all the race files that you have loaded on your main system on your other systems, you could go into, the developer panel here and export database and then import it on your other computer. Wouldn't recommend doing this. It will overwrite everything on the other computer if you do that, so just be careful with that setting. We just made the update information bar more prominent, so it's easier to find when starting up the application. We highly encourage updating the software as soon as possible. We're constantly making improvements and fixing issues on a weekly basis. This bar was, kind of down here before, and on some screens it would have been hidden beneath the fold. So we just made that a little bit more clear, so people are more apt to update when it's available. Added a back button to the group add edit screen. We're starting to get more standardized with our navigation. So you'll see in the group screen, there's back and save buttons at the top as well as at the bottom. This is nice if you have a longer page, so you can just quickly get back. We upgraded the RaceDay Hub bib lookup kiosk for use with touchscreen computers. Also updated the look to card view, increased the text size. So I briefly showed this when I had the RaceDay Hub open for you. I think this will work. So the bib lookup kiosk on the RaceDay Hub now is a lot nicer looking. Oh, that's not the right one. Find. Let's see if this one looks better. Yeah, I was trapping a bug, but it doesn't normally look like that. So it will just display all the information a little bit cleaner. So let's see if I can find one that actually looks nicer. Oops. Let's find a race that's not all messed up. So it'll just have this nice look and feel, a little bit better for touch screen, so people can just go in here and type. Basically, it'll automatically reset after 15 seconds. You'll see there's a little time left counter in the bottom left, and once that counts down, the screen will go back to the main lookup. And if you click the screen or interact with it, it'll reset the counter, which just happened right there. All right. This is a small thing that we noticed. We changed how we manage clearing bib and chip assignments so that this can be done at the registration event level and not the scored event level only. So in the past, if you were to go in and say, I wanted to clear bibs or chips, the selections would only be scored events and not registration events. So if you had some participants in here in a registration event that wasn't included in scoring and you wanted to clear chips, you wouldn't be able to do it. Now you can. We added corrals to the list of fields that can be filtered on. So now you can produce reports that only include participants from one corral, for instance. If you needed like a list of early starters, you could create a filter on a report that only shows those who are in the early start corral. Added the option to hide skipped fields in quick mode. So in the participant add mode, there's this quick mode option here, and there's a settings button next to it that will let you change some of those settings. There's a new checkbox to hide skipped fields when in quick mode. So now if I go into quick mode, it just really slims things down. Instead of just disabling them, it will hide them completely from view. So a little bit cleaner, and you can, make this even smaller if you wanted to. It's a lot faster to get through your data entry. We added support for international phone numbers in the participant entry form. We had some issues with some international timers using the software where specific phone number formatting wasn't working. So we now support all sorts of international numbers based on where you set up your race in. So if your race, when you created it, was in Australia, we'll know that what phone number format we should be expecting, and we'll accept it. The participant export, we made some updates to it. We noticed that it was exporting some data poorly. So now it used to export an event ID, which wasn't really useful. So we've replaced that with the event name. It also was exporting the DOB in a year, month, date format. And most people in the US at least expect it to be in the month, date, year format. This is a pretty big one. We've added email and street address fields as available fields in reports. So this allows you to more easily create reports to send to your race photographers, for instance. So if you go into report, and let's say I wanted this one, actually, yeah, let's say I wanted this one to also include, yeah, email and address. I put it in there already. Now these people don't have email addresses, but if I put it in one that did, yeah, I set up a photos report for this race. So we'll now see that I have the address, full address, mailing address, and the email address for each person here. So that should be helpful if you're trying to print out reports for photographers. We added the ability to clean up result sets on RunSignup when deleting reports if you had a RunSignup result autosaves running. So we had an issue where participants or timers would delete reports, but the results on RunSignup would stick around. So now we just made it a little bit easier. If you deleted a report, we ask if you want to delete the associated RunSignup result sets. And if you delete all reports, it'll ask if you want to clear out all result sets on RunSignup. Should make things a little more straightforward with result set management on RunSignup. Fixed a few bugs. Fixed an issue where group updates made at RunSignup would not be reflected in race day scoring. So we found an issue that was causing group changes made on RunSignup to not come down into race day scoring. That's now been fixed. Fixed an issue where you were unable to clear a bib or chip PIB/chip numbers for participants who are not included in a scored event. Fixed an issue causing reads to show up in a race from another previous race loaded in this computer. This is a really strange one that is really hard to recreate. We did find a unique case that would happen where you would see reads from a prior day loading on a race. Usually wouldn't be an issue because they're just generally ignored unless you had start times, you had a start location you were collecting reads on, and you were changing the read dates to that date. But it's a little bit confusing, so we figured out how to recreate it finally, and we were able to fix that error. Fix an issue causing segment setup errors to not show what field was causing the error in the form. We found that in segment setup, if you went from this page and made a change that was a bad change, that should have gotten an error, and then tried to change your event selection here, it would let you do that. And then if you saved on the other page, it would say there's an error, but you couldn't see the error because the error was on the other page. So now as you see here, when I tried to change events, it was saying, hey, you can't leave until you fix this error in the form. So it'll tell me that my segment endpoint is required. So I have to make sure that I have all my segment endpoints set. So this one. And then I could leave and make the changes I needed to in the other event. This is a pretty important change. We changed how multiple streams use the same hardware name, how streams that use the same hardware name are handled. So we saw that some users were using, some systems had a file and a direct stream with the same hardware name in the same race. So what they would do is they would set up like, for instance, if you had a chrono track point name finish, you would have, or they would have like a chrono track file with that same point name and a direct stream with that point name, both assigned to the same timing location. And this caused some error or some issues with the way that we processed reads. So now we don't allow you to assign the same, basically like a chrono track point name in the same race. So if you do want to flip, from direct to file streaming, all you have to do is have that stream set up in advance. But if I wanted to switch this from direct to file, I would just delete it and add the file version of this if I had it. Fix an issue causing report sections to be duplicated. This was another really hard one to replicate, but we noticed that some people saw that they went into their age group report. They had duplicated sections, like female 10 to 14 twice here. And we were able to figure out what was causing it, and it was people who got trigger happy when they try and click save. They try to click it over and over and over again. It caused those sections to be duplicated. So now we don't allow you to click it if it's recently been clicked. We now know when the report updates have been sent over. So we have this little on hover, X. You can't click it until it's ready to be clicked again. So you should no longer see that issue of duplicate age group sections or report sections in general. Fix an issue causing the default event setting to not apply when adding new participants. In the quick mode settings, there's a way to say, I want to default my new entries to the triathlon, just to make it a little bit easier. When I am adding participants, I may want to automatically select the triathlon here. All right. Fix an issue causing bib updates to not be reflected in the app when changes are made at RunSignup. So we found and resolved an issue causing bib changes if they were done on like the check-in app to not come down into race day scoring. I fixed an issue causing default event participants entry to not work. I talked about that. And fix some more issues around exports failing when loading into another computer. All right, the most recent one from yesterday. We added more standard back and save buttons to participant and group screens, so you don't have to scroll to the bottom to save changes or go back to the last screen. Talked about that in the last update as well. We added some more. When using the set start times feature on the dashboard, we now default the checkboxes to off if the scored events or corrals have already been started before. So if you have a bunch of corrals, makes it a lot easier so you don't accidentally start events or corrals that have already been started. So in here, these ones have already been started. If I were to clear out the start time for one of them, in which set start times, you'll see the only one that is already pre-checked is the event that hasn't been started yet. So now I can just click start now and it will start it instead of, and now I come back and you see it doesn't check it automatically because it's already started. So it makes it a little bit easier if you're starting a bunch of waves. Updated the participant export to include Corral Name instead of Corral ID, similar to that last update we made with events. We moved the result set ID and the RunSignup results autosave setup higher up in the form, so it's harder to miss. So this is a setting that allows you to publish to an existing RunSignup result set. By default, a new result set is created unless you place the ID of an existing result set in this field. So this is if you were publishing results to RunSignup using an autosave here. There's this existing RunSignup result set ID field, and it says optional, leave blank to add a new result set. It used to be in the advanced options. We moved it up here because we found that people who had to delete reports or delete autosaves and republish the results, but they didn't want to add a new result set on RunSignup. you can just paste if you know what the existing result set ID is. And we put a note, only enter if you want to update an existing result set. Result set IDs can be found in the RunSignup result links. For example, blah, blah, blah. At the end of it, you'll see hashtag result set ID 130419. So I would type in here 130419, and I would update that result set instead of adding a new one. So this is useful. A lot of people didn't understand that whenever they set up a new autosave, it would automatically generate a new result set for them unless they entered something in this field. Should be a little bit more clear now when you're setting those up. We updated the column sorting to allow a clearing of the filters when you sort. So sorting column headers, it filters out the rows with empty cells in that column. So if you sort on a bib number, it'll filter out that list to only those who have a bib number assigned. Prior to this update, the only way to clear that filter was to sort a name or some other column header that had entries for all participants. So I'll show you what I mean. If, for instance, here's a good example. I have, 2,071 participants. There's a few with unassigned bibs here. If I click this bib column now, it will sort it, but you'll see that my count goes down because it's now filtered. I can sort it back down, and if I want to clear the sort, I have a couple options. I can just click it again, and it clears the sort, gets you back to where you started. You can also just click this View All button. This is that View All button works for all filters. So if I'm in here, I want to find all the Johns, I can do that, and then click View All again, and it resets those filters. So this is done in all the places on our software that support sorting, so you'll see it in all areas. Okay, we fixed an issue which would cause duplicate participants when importing participant data from a spreadsheet with improperly formatted data like zip code or phone number and syncing to RunSignup. We found that if you imported a bunch of data and there was like a zip code that was improperly formatted, and we, RaceDay Scoring, allowed it to be imported, but RunSignup said that's not a properly formatted zip code and rejected it, we would still try and push all those updates up to RunSignup. It would actually cause a bunch of duplicates because they would try and get synced back down with a different zip code. So it was causing a lot of issues for people who were importing CSV data that had bad like formatting in it. So now we are more strict in the import to make sure we aren't getting bad data. And also we fixed the issue that caused the duplicates to go up. We fixed an issue causing column changes in reports that are currently auto-saving to RunSignup to not be reflected at RunSignup. This is an existing issue. If you went in and you tried to just change like basic information on a report that's auto-saving, like I wanted to move the full name to a different spot in the report and save it, you would have to recreate the autosave for RunSignup results. Now that's not the case, and we automatically send those types of changes up to RunSignup. You fix an issue causing backup times to be selected over primary times if a change in the backup stream configuration was made. So this is a very specific, you had to change the configuration of a backup stream while you're importing at times. So it shouldn't happen to very many people, but we found that it did. We also fixed another thing with the backups so that they now will work for any type of file stream. In the past, we had an issue where you had to load chip cross references for backup systems, even if they basically were giving you bib number. If you were using a chip-based system, you had to load 2 cross references. So that no longer has to be done either. Fixed an issue causing errors when the race was built on a prior version. We had an issue between version 2.1.6 and 2.1.7 or 1.5 and 1.6, can't quite remember, that was causing some errors, but that's been fixed. We resolved an issue causing distances in miles to be interpreted as meters when creating a race in RaceDay Scoring and publishing it to RunSignup. This caused the event distances to look like 0.031 kilometers for 3.1 mile races, causing a lot of confusion. All right, so that's the updates for the month. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email is avery@runsignup.com. You can also reach our whole team, RaceDay@runsignup.com. If you do have any urgent questions or things in the weekend that come up, we're more than happy to help you out. Thanks again for coming, and I'll talk to you guys next month. Bye.